Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
I've always wanted to try that. Well, this one's going to be a little bit different, guys. I just wanted to talk about something, and no edits, there's no script. Just going into this is just raw feeling, so if I stumble and stutter, it's because I was thinking. I want to talk about one of the first fandoms I ever was a part of unknowingly, or at least that I was a fan of, and that was the Star Trek fandom. Long before I wanted to become a cartoon character, I really wanted nothing more than to voyage to new worlds and explore the unexplored, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and to boldly go. And Star Trek means a lot to me. It means a significant amount. I have artwork of myself as a Starfleet officer. I was not obviously around for the 1960s series, or what we would call TOS, the original series, but I did grow up on Kirk. My family unwittingly exposed me to Star Trek through VHS copies of the motion picture, through The Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, and I remember being old enough to go see in the theater Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. It meant a lot. It was always an adventure. I love Captain Kirk. He is the de facto captain for me. I love his bold style. I love William Shatner as Kirk. And say what you want about William Shatner's the Shatner pause. I think it does something for the character. I put it as a je ne sais quoi. As when I was younger, I didn't understand the dynamic of McCoy and Spock as the ego and the id, and that Spock was the id and McCoy was the ego. Jim, you should do this. Captain, you should do this. I didn't understand that. I just liked the dynamic. But my favorite character overall from the original series was Scotty. He always fixed the ship. He always had the answer, and he always skirted the rules to do what he needed to do to get the day saved. And if you ever go back and watch, while Spock was the first officer, Scotty was the one that was always left in charge of the ship. I could spend hours talking about the cast and crew of TOS, and I would like to, but I'm not going to. I want to try to keep this video as short as I can. But this was the Enterprise I grew up with, the movie Enterprise. So let me just remove the base. And this is the one, I can tell you a very specific scene at the end of The Voyage Home. That, for those of you that may or may not know, the Enterprise original, NCC 1701, was destroyed over the Genesis planet, spoilers, in movie 3, The Search for Spock. They blew it up because they had to, because Captain Kirk always did what he had to do to ensure the survivability of his crew. And sometimes that meant sacrificing the ship. And at the end of Star Trek IV, Admiral Kirk has been demoted to captain because of his refusal to follow orders. And they give him a starship. He's going to reassemble the crew and go boldly where no man has gone before again, for at least another 2 movies. And it's the scene, and I may play this as an overlay without the audio to some extent, but their shuttle pod comes up over the USS Excelsior NX-2000 or maybe it was NCC 2000 at the time. And you get this kind of hinged feeling. You see the tips of the nacelles, and there she is in all of her glory, USS Enterprise, NCC 1701A, meaning that Captain Kirk and his crew had made such significant contributions to the preservation of life, to the preservation of integrity, and by doing whatever you had to do to ensure that preservation of integrity, that the serial number for USS Enterprise would never change. And we have that now all the way through the current Star Trek, which would probably be, I think the last known Enterprise was 1701J, and that was in Enterprise. And I cry every time I see that scene. And Captain Kirk says, my friends, we've come home. And there they sit on the bridge of the Enterprise, ready to do the shakedown cruise. When I was a kid, I had Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise D for 7 whole seasons. And I remember being a kid and fighting my parents to let me stay up late and watch that it was a school night. I think it came on at 9 o'clock until 10. My usual bedtime at that time was 9 o'clock. And I had to fight them for that. And it meant the world to me to be able to see that. And this was way before I'd even really thought up this guy. He was still living in my head, but more in the form of Dad Raccoon. So I knew I was different, but I wanted to be a Starfleet officer more than anything, and now I get to live out that fantasy. TNG, I could spend hours talking about episodes, but I'm not. Again, I just want to convey my emotions here. The Enterprise D, I was upset at the end of Generations when it was destroyed, because that signified the end of the Next Generation as I knew it. Not going to get into the movies. I do recognize that Captain Kirk and Captain Picard are two sides of the same coin, in that Captain Picard represents Gene Roddenberry, the creator, as an elder statesman in his elder life. Some 10, 15 years after the creation of Star Trek in '66. And that Captain Kirk was the brash young Gene that was swashbuckling and always got the girl and was hot-headed and tempered, but did anything he could to preserve the integrity of his crew or his ship. And if you look at that too, in season 3 of TOS, Gene Roddenberry left the show as a walk-off to show that he was not happy with what Desilu was doing at that time, whereas he stayed on with Star Trek The Next Generation as long as he could. Deep Space Nine, I did not have a like for when I was younger. However, growing up and learning a lot more, I now hold Deep Space Nine, Captain Sisko, Kira Nerys, Odo, especially Quark. God, I love Quark, and Rom and Nog. Again, hours, but I'm going to keep it short here. I do love Deep Space Nine. Once it found its footing and where it was going, I think Deep Space Nine is probably, it deserves to be on the same shelf as TOS, the animated series, TNG, and DS9. Voyager, I think Voyager gets a lot better once they get 7 of 9 on board, and that is by no means a slap at Kes or that entire crew. As much as annoying Neelix is, I love Neelix because he is annoying. He is that happy little voice that keeps the crew going. Tom Paris is a great character. And Captain Janeway, I honestly believe, and if someone were to show this to anyone over at Paramount, I think Captain Janeway is probably one of the best captains in all of Starfleet, in the entire series. As swashbuckling and great and ladies' man as Kirk was, as statesman as Picard was, as brash and daring as Sisko was, Catherine Janeway was the whole package. She was the whole package. She was. I look at her. I really, DS9 and Voyager, I think, are love letters to feminism. That they showed that with Kira, with Jadzia, with Moogie of all people, that you didn't have to be a subservient female to be a cultural icon, that you didn't have to be poured into a spacesuit to signify that you were female. I mean, the sheer power of Kira Nerys. I look at her, she is, I would put her akin to Ripley from the Aliens series. But Captain Janeway is the full package. She is everything that you look for in a leader. And I can't thank everyone over there enough if any of them ever see this. I still haven't gotten into Discovery yet, and that's just because of the paywall and apathy towards it. If we were to expand that Star Trek just a little bit, and I really think that Orville is the sincerest. We're talking about the TV show Orville that was on Fox, but now is moving to Hulu, by Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy fame. I think that Orville is the sincerest professional love letter to Star Trek any person has ever written. That Orville is continuing in that tradition of boldly going where no man has gone before. The scripts are fantastic. They feel like actual Star Trek scripts. They have obviously a new flair added to them in that there is sarcasm, humor, potty humor, subversive humor. There's a lot of humor there that was not there in Star Trek, and I'm not saying that Star Trek was lacking or that Orville is pouring it on. There is a clear divide. Orville is its own thing. Star Trek is its own thing. But if you look at it and replace the uniforms and make it the bridge of any other Starfleet vessel, not the Orville, it's Star Trek. And I can't thank Seth MacFarlane enough for continuing to take me on those voyages. I do have here just a few things I wanted to show people. One of my favorite characters is Worf. I love Worf. Initially, I did not like Michael Dorn as a kid. I said, why is this Klingon on the bridge of the Enterprise? What is he doing? But then when I was in middle school, I learned Klingon a little bit. I can barely speak it now. I just remember the greeting, which is roughly translated as what do you want, which is Nukhnet, and of course, Patak and Kapla, success. And I got really drunk one night and bought this at a bar. And, excuse me, a batleth, my batleth, that I did not earn, but I bought it. And I wanted to show you this. This is one of those things I just couldn't throw away. It's my Captain Kirk shirt from when I was a kid. And at some point, I guess I'll get a piece of art in me in this, but as I film this, I just commissioned an artist or sent an artist a, would you allow me to commission you note to draw me as a Starfleet officer. And I do appreciate you putting up with me for these last few minutes. And let's see if we can do this as a furry, where it makes, there we go. Live long and prosper.